Hello, everybody, on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I'm Chris in the studio. This is the weekly What's Up and KMullinsTV's coverage of the March Madness tournament. We are down to the final 16 teams in the NCAA tournament, and we will find out who are the final 8 after Thursday and Friday's games. This is going to be a two-parter episode. I'm going to discuss Thursday's games today, and then tomorrow's episode, I'm going to discuss Friday's games because it would be way too long of an episode if I were to mash them both together. So I'm going to space them out a little bit, and I'm going to get you all the in-depth coverage and my predictions for each of the games in the Sweet 16. I hope you enjoy the show. Well, the Sweet 16 is as follows. We got Kentucky, Indiana, Baylor, Xavier, Michigan State, Louisville, Marquette, Florida, Syracuse, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Ohio State, North Carolina, Ohio, NC State, and Kansas. And if you were listening to that, there was 4 teams from the state of Ohio, which is actually a record. No other state has ever had that many teams, and I think that's a really good thing for our state. Go our state there. Because look at the good states that they've had. I mean, North Carolina is out there that has a lot of good colleges that you could figure could have done this before. And Texas has a lot of teams. California. There's a lot of states that you would expect. Maybe Indiana. But no, Ohio is the first team to ever do this. They have 25% of the Sweet 16 in there. And this is actually Ohio's first Sweet 16 since 1964. Yeah, 1964. That's many, many, many years ago. So there's no telling what could actually happen with some of these matchups. We could be seeing some of the first time ever kind of shit going on. As there's a lot of teams in here who I believe, if I can check through this, the last champion that has actually been on this list is Florida. Or North Carolina, actually. No, North Carolina, they won in 2009. That is the last time that any of these people were champion. Other than that, it's basically a crapshoot up in the air on who can take this home. I really can't tell you who my exact pick is right now, but I mean, there's wishful thinking. Both my 2 teams are in there. Cincinnati and Florida are both in the Sweet 16. Those are, if you know me, those are my 2 favorite teams. But there's no telling who's going to be able to take this home this year. It's such an evenly matched Sweet 16, and really, even the North Carolina-Ohio matchup, what you would think North Carolina would run away with the injury to Kendall Marshall, who knows? I mean, DJ Cooper and Ohio are not a scrub squad by any means whatsoever. They can most definitely give the Tar Heels a run for their money if the Tar Heels don't really, really concentrate on getting that victory, even without Kendall Marshall. The Tar Heels should not back down just because they're playing in a MAC school, because this is not your typical MAC school this year. Okay, the first matchup we're going to get into here is Thursday's matchup between the Wisconsin Badgers and the Syracuse Orange. This is a great matchup on the court and in the coaching box. Both coaches are very big, as in, I believe both coaches are 2 of the top coaches in the game today. Bo Ryan and Jim Boeheim. They're both very good. They're both good coaches. They both are proven winners. They both can get the job done. And the one key here is the Syracuse zone defense. I've mentioned it, I know, on this show numerous times, that if Syracuse has their zone defense working, then there's really not much a team can do. The only problem with their zone defense now in this tournament is Fab Melo, and it basically goes all on the shoulders of Rakeem Christmas. If Rakeem Christmas can play up to Fab Melo's level when it comes to that zone defense, Syracuse could be a very scary team in this tournament for the rest of the remainder of it. And basically, what the thing is that the zone defense wants you to shoot 3-pointers, but that's the one thing about the Badgers, though, is they can shoot the 3. They dropped 10 threes in their round of 32 victory over a very good Vanderbilt team. And Wisconsin may even have a better defense than the Orange, only giving up 53 points per game on average compared to 61 for the Orange. The best one-on-one matchup I want you guys to watch out for in this game right here, though, is the matchup of the point guards. Wisconsin's Jordan Taylor versus Syracuse's Scoop Jardine. Two of the best point guards in college basketball. This is going to be a college basketball fan's dream matchup right here in the one-on-one matchup you'll have going on with that. They are two of the best players in the nation, in my opinion, and they might even be the two best point guards in the nation. I mean, they both have a definite, I guess we could say they both have a definite argument for it because they're both right here in the final 16 teams, and they've been two of the best point guards consistently throughout the entire year. This matchup could be a decisive factor in who wins this game. My pick for this game, though, I'm going to have to go with Bo Ryan and the Wisconsin Badgers moving on to the Elite Eight. Another great coaching matchup in the second matchup, we got Louisville, Michigan State. Rick Pitino versus Tom Izzo. And although I do make my wisecracks about Rick Pitino, plain and simple, the guy can coach. He's sensational. He knows how to get the job done. And then same goes for Tom Izzo, but I'm a lot more vocal about I like Tom Izzo as a coach because, plain and simple, I just never had a reason to hate the guy. He's been getting his job done. He's been in the last 16 teams the last couple of years, and then he's even gotten farther the last couple of years even too. So the guy, plain and simple, knows how to coach college basketball. And I would love to actually see him in the pros someday, actually. I know this is off topic real quick, but I definitely think the guy can coach in the pros too because he has almost a pro-style mindset with the way his team runs their offense and their defense. But back to the game, though. Anyone who's ever seen Rick Pitino teams play, they know that they shoot threes a lot. That's one of their main points. That's what he strives to recruit. He recruits for three-point shooters. And he tries to get the best guys out there, and he tries to get teams that can shoot threes on almost a constant basis. But if you're used to seeing that, you're not going to see that Thursday, though, because the Cardinals have a lack of firepower, and they just need to try to grind out enough points to be able to help their usually sticky defense. They have only two double-digit scorers, really. I mean, I don't really know what I can say that's going to be good about Louisville for this matchup. But they have two double-digit scorers. Kyle Couric and Russ Smith, both are averaging. Couric's averaging the most on the team, and it's only 13. That's really not what you want to have when it's down to these final 16 teams when you're needing to make shots. And the team sixth man, Russ Smith, who is only averaging 11.5, and he scored 17 points in the 59-56 victory over New Mexico in the round of 32. Their guard, Chris Smith, though, is only averaging a little bit under 10 points a game and is the only above-average three-point shooter at Pitino's disposal with only an average of under 40%. And that's really not what you want to have when you need to make that big shot. In the team's round of 64 victory over Davidson, the Cardinals only actually attempted 5 three-pointers, which is very different for a team that usually strives to make more and shoot more. They only attempted 5 and made 1. And the Spartans are one of the nation's top defensive teams, and they only give up about 37.8% shooting in the games on an average. They have an outstanding on-the-ball defender for point guard with Keith Appling, and his matchup with Peyton Siva will be crucial to this game. Another good point guard matchup, Siva versus Appling, and that is what will decide this game. As Michigan State held St. Louis to 35% shooting in its 65-61 victory on Sunday, and I like the Spartans to return to yet another Elite Eight here. I'm gonna have to go with the Spartans here, as much as it pains me because I like to see new teams ever so often in there, but as much as it pains me to say it, the Spartans, there's no way they're losing this game versus Louisville on Thursday. Now for the matchup of the Sweet 16, I am most definitely looking forward to. I almost stumbled over all my words right there because I am so excited about this game right here. As a fan of basketball and a fan of the Bearcats. We got Cincinnati versus Ohio State. The pairing features one of the most intriguing matchups I got for you on the whole Sweet 16. It's not a point guard matchup this time. It's between power forwards Yancey Gates and Jared Sullinger. They're going to go at each other for almost the entire game. These two are workhorses that are going to battle with each other. And through the tournament so far, Gates has combined for 25 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 blocks in wins over Texas and Florida State, while Sullinger has totaled 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks against Loyola Maryland and Gonzaga. The Bearcats support Gates with guards that can really score and really take it to the rack and shoot from behind the arc, with Sean Kilpatrick and Deion Dixon both averaging over 10 points a game. Over actually 12 points a game, because Kilpatrick's averaging 14.3 and Dixon's averaging 13.1. The Buckeyes are really streaky from distance, though. That's going to be a key to the game, however. Going to combine 14 of 38 from behind the arc in their first 2 games. In the meantime, the Bearcats enter the tournament just giving up 61.1 points per game on a mere 41% shooting, as they rank in the top 50 nationally in steals per game with 8 and block shots per game with a little bit over 4.5. Cincinnati held both Florida State and Texas under 60 points in their 2 NCAA tournament victories. The Bearcats are going to try to bully Ohio State into a physical game, because the Bearcats have much more physical dominance as it pertains to body size over the Bearcats, who are more of a lean type team. They don't have really any big bully type players like the Bearcats have with Shaq Mooch, and you got Shaq Mooch, you got Yancey, you could even really throw Justin Jackson in there. He's big enough to be able to throw his weight around in this. And basically, they're going to try to bully them through this entire game. And Cincy has a combined +6 in rebounding margin in its 2 victories and held an edge on boards against the Longhorns and the Seminoles both. The Buckeyes need to try to keep the depth in check, because Cincinnati learned how to deal with depth issues earlier on in the season when Yancey Gates got suspended after that huge brawl, after the crosstown shootout that you're going to hear about probably a ton in between this. And you've probably already heard about it a ton this tournament, but you're going to hear about it every time the Bearcats step on the court, because it defined their season, I guess. Although I think that's kind of stupid the way it did that, but that's for another day. The Bearcats learned how to deal with their depth issues, but the Buckeyes, although they got the guy, I can't really think of the guy's name off the top of my head, Deshaun something or other, but he has stepped up as their guy to go to towards their depth, and because he came off the bench and scored 30-something points versus Gonzaga, but I don't know if the Bearcats are going to be weak enough to be able to get beat around by the Buckeyes. I think the Bearcats can do this. Plain and simple, I think the Buckeyes do not have the answers for certain matchups with the Bearcats. My pick here is Cincinnati. Now we're on to the most intriguing matchup that I think in the whole tournament. It's going to be the most exciting, definitely, of Florida versus Marquette. Both teams have so many weapons to score, it's almost impossible to play that you're going to see any defense here. I think you're really probably not going to see much defense here at all, because this game's going to be scored in the high 80s, low 90s easily, in my opinion, I believe. The Gators are a tough matchup because they have so many shooters usually. Billy Donovan likes to recruit those shooters, much like Rick Pitino I was talking about earlier. But Billy Donovan's guys have been getting it done this year, as they live and die by the 3. As you've seen in all their losses, it's been because they could not drop the 3. And a lot of their wins is because they could hit that 3. As the Gators are going to look to run, and they could have up to 4 guys on the court at one time that can shoot the 3 at a consistent basis. The Gators are going to look to run and push the tempo and kick to open shooters. Junior guard Kenny Boynton averages 16 points per game and makes 41.8% of his three-pointers, while guards Bradley Beal 14.5 points per game and Irving Walker 12 points per game can also score. The toughest matchup for the Golden Eagles here is going to be Florida's forward Eric Murphy, who scores 10.5 points per game. He's 6'10", 230 pounds. And at his height, it's hard to get a hand in his face to be able to block that shot or even throw that shot off. So he might have a pretty easy way, as I don't see anyone on Marquette that can really do that, to really put a body on him and be able to get that stop going. And don't expect much of the same as from the defense of Florida, because Marquette's offense is almost one and the same. As basically they're going to try to push the tempo too, and no one likes to get out in transition like Marquette. As Marquette will push the tempo. If it has to get in the half court, it'll attack the lanes and kick to open shooters. Junior Cadogan is a physical point guard who isn't afraid to dive into defense and dish to Darius Johnson-Odom, who averages 18.5 points per game and makes 38.9% of his three-pointers. Florida isn't a very good defensive team, though, preferring to run and score than match up on defense. They basically play what I would like to call an NBA style of play, because they basically will say, okay, you can score, but we're going to beat you with our offense rather than our defense. The Gators do not have anyone physical enough to deal with Marquette's 6'6", 235-pound forward Jay Crowder, who's been lighting it up in the tournament and averages 17.6 points a game and has upped it to actually 21.5 in the tournament he's been averaging. Expect the Golden Eagles to try to push around Florida and attack the glass and get into the lane. The Gators are athletic and can match up with Marquette's guards, but it's in the paint. The Golden Eagles could really have a huge advantage in this game. Florida has been dominant in the tournament, though, outscoring their opponents, Virginia and Norfolk State, by a combined 60 points. I know you can say Norfolk State, but Norfolk State did take down a very good Missouri team, so don't slack off on Norfolk State just because they got blown out by a really good Gators team that has been playing very good ball lately. And the Gators' past 6 games have been against tournament teams, so they shouldn't be on many nerves going on. Marquette hammered BYU and handled upstart Murray State. Sorry about that. I was still thinking about Missouri from the Gators game. This could be definitely most of the entertaining game of the tournament, with both teams prefer to get up and down the court and score rather than defend. So this may come down to who makes the most shots. In a game like that, the team that rebounds is often the one that comes out on top, because, well, that means that they're going to have the ball more so they can score more. It also comes down to how well the Gators can contain Marquette's Jay Crowder. That's going to be the biggest matchup, is can the Gators stop Jay Crowder from going off again? If they can stop him, the Gators can move on. If they can't, you're going to see Marquette in the Elite Eight. I think that Patrick Young will use his speed, and Florida will use his speed against Jay Crowder, and Florida will ride their phenomenal three-point shooting into a spot in the Elite Eight, though. My pick, the Florida Gators. Well, we are a little bit strapped for time right now, but I'll be back tomorrow in the studio to discuss all of Sunday's games and give you my picks for those. I'm sure it's going to be another great week of college basketball, so don't worry about if the games are going to be good or not, because I can almost guarantee this is going to be another week that you're not going to want to miss. As always, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, woo woo woo, you know it. I'm Chris, and that's what's up. Call it ball. Gone, boy. Call it ball. Gone, boy. Call it ball in the field. Gone, boy. Yep.